Hi, welcome to a box on the box rock and celluloid, BotBrack for short. So I'm going to look at my top 10 sci-fi films today in two parts. Quite complicated this because the sci-fi genre within it has lots of, well, not lots, but there's kind of sub-genres, isn't there? There's sci-fi action films, there's sci-fi horror, alien invasion, intellectual sci-fi. So I kind of, some of them might exclude, well, I am going to exclude some that would normally make it, but they've kind of turned up on other top 10s. So, but I'll just go through some of the things that, didn't make the cut, or just discuss a few. Obviously, looking down here, like I mentioned on my virus video, Soylent Green. Soylent Green's a great one from 1973. Richard Fleischer directing, Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson's last appearance. And The Amiga Man as well would be one I enjoy with Charlton Heston from 71. Like I said, I kind of covered those on the virus thing. But those were two I considered. Logan's Run, again, another interesting dystopian sci-fi. I think the problem with Logan's Run is it's a cool film. It's just a bit cheap. It's a really cool idea. I like the performance ideas. There was talk of remaking Logan's Run, and I think if they did that, you could do a better version of it, and especially with ageism, in society, and the obsession with youth and beauty. I think it would work really well, or even bring it back as a TV show. But I always love them. I forget when it's Renewal. It's got some really cool ideas that. Now, I've got here Alien and Aliens. On any day, Alien would be very high in this top 10. But if you watch my horror top 10, it makes an appearance. And for the same reason as The Thing, I kind of included those as horror science fiction. So I I've chosen not to include those. But that's not because I don't think that they're awesome. Robocop was one that comes really close. Paul Verhoeven and Starship Troopers. I think these are really funny satire. Obviously, Starship Troopers is like a sci-fi war film, action film. Robocop's a cop film with a bit of action. But I just think the satirical elements and the critique of American military and corporate America are just so funny. The longer time goes on, a lot of the look of them dates. I think the ideas don't. You think about Fox News and things like that. It's so funny. So great work by Paul Verhoeven with those films, smuggling in his subversive ideas. So I've got The Thing down here. A film I really like from '97 that's kind of watched a couple of times, 3 times, and then kind of got in my mind more. Actually, that's a really good film, and I think people kind of thought about it more when Interstellar came out because he was exploring similar ideas, and he kind of got overlooked a bit at the time. It was Robert Zemeckis' Contact. Really good film. Great effect sequences for the time with the the kind of gravity drive machine. There's a great bit where they'd have the terrorist attack. Really cool. John Hurt performance as the billionaire philanthropist. So I really like that film. And then if you watch Interstellar as well with the theoretical physics of that, it's really cool as well. It makes a good companion piece. I think the climax of Contact I didn't like at the time. I kind of understand it more in a way. There's a really cool opening sequence as well where Zemeckis, it kind of has a running towards a mirror, but then kind of flips as a really cool shot. But yeah, probably easily Zemeckis' best film other than Back to the Future. And that would be another choice. You kind of forget Back to the Future's a science fiction film. But the reason I haven't got that in is it's kind of something more, isn't it? It's this popcorn kind of pop cultural thing, and it's a teen film and comedy, and I don't know, I guess I wanted to kind of pick things that I thought were more sci-fi. Although I'll probably end up cheating. Inception. I guess Inception's science fiction, isn't it? The tools he used. Again, that was cool. The Matrix was a cool one, but the sequels undid that film. The Matrix when it came out, and its ideas of the simulacra, Baudrillard's idea. Really cool, but those sequels killed it for me. I'm not looking forward to the new one, but anyway, we'll see. Mad Max 1 and 2 would be close ones. Again, the emphasis is more on action, but it's that dystopia. Mad Max 2 would be the pick, obviously, with stunning action sequences, and Fury Road. But Fury Road I've talked about in another top 10. Can't remember whether that's come out yet. Obviously, I'm filming this in advance. Then, so that was another one considered. You've got to have Star Wars. The differences with Star Wars is it's space fancy, it's space opera. It's not science fiction. Although it's got spaceships, it's suggesting another universe, but not, so that's a difficult one. And the Star Wars is a kind of top 10 in itself, and I've not included the Star Trek film for the same reason. The Wrath of Khan is fantastic, but that's a whole top 10 top 10 Star Trek films or top 10 Star Wars. You could do that. Predator, again, was close to the thing. Again, the emphasis is more on action. The Predator invasion. The Predator coming to Earth. It's more a vehicle for Arnie to kick ass and do a Vietnam film. So yeah, it's science fiction, but the emphasis isn't on the science fiction element to me. But I love Predator. I think Predator's great. Really cool one from '97 as well, Gattaca. Interesting things and kind of cloning and is it cloning, but or kind of society having, it's kind of like Huxley's Brave New World. I think I mentioned this actually in my Brave New World TV review, but that got cancelled. But really cool look on this film, a cool sort of retro modernist, retro futurist look. Good performances from Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke's a good actor, and we'll mention him in a sec. But that's a film I like, is worth checking out. I just mentioned Ethan Hawke there, and he actually stars in a film called Predestination, which is well worth checking out recently. And that actually forms a kind of what I call quirky indie sci-fi thing. And there was Predestination, Another Earth, Sci-Fi, and Moon, with 4 films there. And I think that started with Cube. I mentioned Sci-Fi, there's Vincenzo Natali. He does Splice as well, another... so these are kind of low budget sci-fi films, but they have cool ideas. Under the Skin as well is another weird one. Again, really interesting. If you go on Netflix, there's a film called The Platform as well. Sputnik is another low budget, medium budget one, Russian one on Netflix. And that was one I saw recently, which was good. And that's kind of forms into the kind of lower budget, icky monster sci-fi. Which I mentioned, Splice, the Vincenzo Natali film. Life as well, that was a bigger budget recently. Not very good, but I quite enjoyed that. It was an icky monster in space, like Alien, and the person dies you least expect. Kind of digress there, 12 Monkeys, that was a film I loved back in the day. I don't quite like as much now, as you could say Brazil, Terry Gilliam as well. But it's still got Bruce Willis's best ever performance, and it's still got a great look and a really tragic ending. Then one I seriously considered was AI, Steven Spielberg. I think that's a modern classic. That came really close to making the cut on this. It had state-of-the-art effects at the time, but still looked good. Teddy's amazing, and it's a film that rewards of repeated viewings, and it's a very moving film. And the fusion of the Kubrick ideas and the Brian Aldiss and the Spielberg, I felt worked really well. Love the new Planet of the Apes trilogy. I seem to have mentioned this several times in several different things. If you haven't seen a new Planet of the Apes trilogy, Rise of Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, watch them. They're all really good films, and they're all under consideration. Ex Machina, another modern one. I need to watch Annihilation again, actually. I think I kind of watched that. I didn't quite get it the first time. I had some cool ideas. Alex Garland's one to watch, but Ex Machina, really cool. Just quickly here, I mentioned about the quirky indie sci-fi before, and the other one's The Endless again. They're on Netflix. That's a weird one to go to a cult, but it's got a weird time travel, loop things. Well worth checking out, The Endless. Sunshine, Danny Boyle. It's that thing, I'm a real sucker for this. I mentioned Life before. They're on a space station, shit kicks off. They're going, the Earth's dying, he's got to send a nuclear bomb into the sun. The climax of this is a bit stupid. It kind of, it has a kind of serial killer in space. Played by Mark Strong, but you don't know it's him. But there's something really powerful in the climax. Cillian Murphy's alone, he's sending this nuclear bomb into the sun, and it looks, for a $40 million budget film, it looks really good. Again, 28 days later, but I've already used that in my virus. It's another horror one, you know, it's 28 days later. It is a science fiction film, but it's also a zombie film. It's a virus film. Danny Boyle made two cool ones. The Fly, David Cronenberg, again, really cool sci-fi film, but the element's more on horror. So, you know, that would be more like what you call horror films for me. But it's really good, and it's a film like, I tend to watch The Fly not very often, but whenever I watch it, it gets better. And the acting's great. Jeff Goldblum, really overlooked for Oscar nominations. Silent Running, again, an influential film with Douglas Trumbull. The ideas in that, the eco-terrorism at the end, really. You know, he kills the crew, doesn't he, and kind of blows up the thing to save the plants. You know, amazing. Having that bio system in space is something that's been copied by a lot of films. But it's so moving. Then you got the little robots, and they're like almost alone, even though they wouldn't have a consciousness of being alone. It's almost like the little pets in space, like leaving your dog. You know, you think about the Russian space program sending monkeys and they're sending the dog into space, and you think about the loneliness. And I think Trumbull kind of taps into that with those little robots just watering the plants, and then Joe Baez kicks up, and we're all crying. Beautiful. Escape from New York's good fun, you know, good fun action. The idea of an open prison, New York. Obviously, it didn't happen in '97, but it may do yet. And another one you can check out on Netflix now, which kind of came and went, was really good, is Dredd. So obviously, the Judge Dredd, Sylvester Stallone, was a fucking disaster. Well, some was pretty cool, but the Carl Urban Judge Dredd, I forget who directs it. Fantastic performance from Lena Headey. And captures really where society's heading, with corporations taking over office buildings and doing awful social housing. This is already happening. It's happening in this country. You know, Mega City 1. You know, overpopulation in cities, the structure of society, you know, in where you live and stuff. So Dredd, I need to see it again. I only saw it once, but it impressed me. Pitch Black, a good monster movie. David Toohey, Vin Diesel. It was all downhill after that for Vin Diesel. This is a cool little John Carpenter style flick. And Vin Diesel as Riddick, he found a great role for him. And then he just became this lazy guy who turns up in Fast and Furious. But Pitch Black's really good. Westworld was another one. Recently was Arrival. I need to watch this again. I liked Arrival. I love Denis Villeneuve, but you know, I'll wait to watch that again. That was a cool film. And that idea of time being spherical. Heptapods, awesome. District 9, again, a really socially aware sci-fi, brilliantly done. I don't know what happened to the director, really did that Elysium, it wasn't as good. And there was Chappie, and he was going to do Alien, and it's kind of like one of those great first films, you know. I mean, it got Oscar kind of recognition. Really cool examination. That thing that sci-fi can do, it examines racism and economic inequality and totalitarianism, stuff like that. Media, but in a sci-fi setting. Really good. Original Solaris, if you fancy 3 hours of Russian 2001, it is a unique film. You know, there's something mad when you see special effects done in communist Russia. You know, I'm not banging the film, but it's got something. Once you watch that film, you kind of got to see it again. Andromeda Strain as well was a different kind of intelligent sci-fi that I thought about, but obviously I've covered that in my virus films. I'm giving away my virus ones here, but you know, if you're interested, share and subscribe. There's other videos coming up. You can check out my other top 10. So let's get the views. 13 minutes there was a lot. This is one of my favourite genres. I'll miss some. If you've got comments, you know, put them in. So coming in at number 10 is This Island Earth. So when I was a kid, I got introduced to kind of 50s sci-fi via a season on the BBC Two. In early 80s, there was War of the Worlds. There was Invaders from Mars. That's a great one. And the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That could have been a one that made the cut. Also the remake from 1978 of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But again, they're kind of tying with virus and horror as well. But This Island Earth was actually Joseph M. Newman directed it. The Earth bits, he did the bits on Metaluna, but the studio didn't like them, so a guy called Jack Arnold did those. I'm not sure. I think maybe did he do War of the Worlds? I'm not sure. You can check that out. But that was a great a great 50s sci-fi for me. I always loved the mutant. I loved the idea this planet was dying and they went out. There's another one called Worlds Collide as well, which is quite frightening when another planet's going to collide with Earth. They really should remake this film. They should remake this Island Earth. But it's got this great thing in it, the interocitor. And they get sent a kit, and the scientists who can work it out get picked for the program by the alien race on Metaluna. They're great. They've got enlarged foreheads because they're so clever. But it's got that classic logo, which is the Science Geek symbol, which you see on T-shirts. I love this. It's got all like the humanity of 50s sci-fi. It's got a great climax. It's just really imaginative. That's my number 10 pick. My number 9 pick is, I've just changed my mind. So I was going to go for The Day the Earth Stood Still. But that is brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's got that great Michael Rennie performance and Patricia Neal. Brilliantly directed by Robert Wise. But I like my Technicolor sci-fi. So I decided there and then that I'm going to change it to, what's it called? The one with Robbie the Robot. That's based on Shakespeare's The Tempest. What's it bloody called? It'll come to me. Anyway, it's influential on another film that's going to turn up later. Love this film. Anne Francis, Leslie Nielsen in his straight role days. Again, lots of imagination and that idea of having an ancient alien race. On Forbidden Planet. Christ! Forbidden Planet. I didn't have it written down. I'll make a confession here. I forgot about it. I was looking. I'd mentioned this Island Earth 50 sci-fi. I thought, if you've forgotten Forbidden Planet, I've got a Forbidden Planet in. And The Day the Earth Stood Still got bumped, which is a bit unfair. But I would pick this Island Earth over The Day the Earth Stood Still. Right, I've waffled. Sorry. Forbidden Planet. Who directs this? Is it someone at Wilcox? Fred M. Wilcox or W. Wilcox? Yeah. Don't know what else he did, but I love them. I forget the name of the alien race. Sorry, but they've got those massive machines. It's brilliant. But that idea of monsters from the id, it's quite clever having Freudian psychology in a 50s sci-fi. And obviously you've got the lone female and all the men. Great film. Just again, these films are low budget, but those matte paintings and so forth are full of imagination. Okay, so I've gone for the two 50s ones there. Sorry, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Make sure you see that. So number 8. This is my one of my newest ones. But I wanted to pick something contemporary, and I've seen this a couple of times. I think as time goes on, this film, it's already arrived in a lot of ways, and it's 2001's, I think. Or is it 2002? Sorry, I should have written this down. It's Steven Spielberg's Minority Report. So what's cool about this is Tom Cruise. It's a cop thriller, but they have these 3 triplets who are psychic, who can predict crimes before they happen. So it's based on Philip K. Dick. But when Spielberg was prepping this, he got in some futurists of people who have ideas and suggest ideas of where technology and where humanity will go and how we'll use technology. And the one thing with this is it predicts, although they have adverts that recognise what you want, it's that Facebook thing and social media where they track your preferences and present you with things that you might like. I don't, I click on things on social media because I might look at a video. They will never make me buy anything. I have not bought anything yet because the internet suggested it. I'll just put that out there. But Cruise is really good. It makes good use of his star power. But it's the idea that it manipulates his emotion as well. He's lost his kid and his kid's been kidnapped, and he he's all in with this program, and they think it's foolproof, but there's a conspiracy. Basically, there's a conspiracy, and because there's money involved, it's kind of been rushed through disingenuously. It's really good. It's got a cool bit where there's these little spidery robots. It's really well done by Spielberg. The photography by Janusz Kaminski. He's got that, Spielberg's cinematographer changes on Cinder's list, and he starts using more desaturated palettes. I think this is the last really classic Spielberg film. I think this and AI are really good. I think it's flawed, but I think Munich's well worth checking out. But he's kind of got boring You know, the once great. He's done some great films, Steven Spielberg, and he may appear yet. But Minority Report's really cool. It's really well paced. It's a thrilling cop thriller, but it's got some really interesting ideas. And that brings me to the next contemporary one. Again, I've seen this a couple of times. I just feel it needs to be in there. The longer we go on, this is, if I had to pick a science fiction film that presents where we're going, where we're at already in a way, and the way politics has gone, and the type of society we're creating, it's Children of Men. I think this is the most realistic of these sci-fis. The technology in it is virtually now in it, but basically it's based on the female author who's got a male name. Apologies, it'll come to me. Clive Owen plays, like, I think he's a journalist guy, and people, women are infertile, and a group discovers a fertile female, and they have to get her to safety. I've not seen it for a while. I forget why he does that, but there's a great bit performance from Michael Caine. He plays this hippie out in the woods, and it's got one of the most staggering long takes in film history. You know, Alfonso Cuarón, and is it Chivo? Emmanuel Lubetsky. Chivo's his nickname. He's his cinematographer. The first one is a driving along the car and a character. I'll not tell you what happens, but it's amazing how it's done. I need to see the behind the scenes, because somehow the camera sat in the car, and it's switching perspective, and it's just fucking hellishly brilliant. Really well done. And later on, there's a really big long take in the climax. Clive Owen's really good. He kind of wears flip flops in it. It's a shame. I mean, Clive Owen's an interesting actor, and he kind of slipped off the radar a bit now. But there was that period where he was kind of a bit more becoming a star. This film wasn't a hit, but it's a film people need to dig out and watch. It's on Netflix. And Cuarón did Gravity later on with all the cool long takes, and he won the Oscar for that and Roma. I think he's a really great filmmaker, but this is his best film. Okay, number 6. Okay, so I was kind of like, it's a big star. But it is science fiction, it is sci-fi action, but I've got to put it in there. You know, like I say, I've probably cheated by not having Alien and Aliens and the Thing and that, but anyway. Of course, I'm going for 1984. You can only be one thing. It's Runaway. No, it's not. It's not Tom Selleck in Runaway. It's James Cameron's The Terminator. This is a great $6 million budget. Obviously made Piranha before that, but this kind of feels like his first proper film. And they're often the best. An economic nature of this, and this was the breakout film for Schwarzenegger that got him away from the Conan. It's full of sort of iconic lines. Lynn Hammond's great, Michael Bihn's great. The stop motion looks a bit crap now, but it works. It's got great dialogue, great score by Brad Fiedel. It's just a lean, mean fighting machine. I still remember as a kid, my good friend of mine said, "You've got to see this film, The Terminator." He's watching it on a loop from the video shop, and the first time I watched it, it was like, yeah, this film fucking rocks. Obviously, the sequel's great, and that would have, again, been a consideration, but I think that's kind of a little bloated. It's got, and the emphasis is more on action, even though the technology is amazing. It's more like the chase movie, even though the Terminator's a chase movie. It kind of ups the action ante. So you kind of talk about that in the great action films as well as sci-fi. Staggering truck chasing, that still great effects. So I love T2, but Terminator, I don't know, it's weird. James Cameron, he kind of made his best film that early on. Okay, that's the end of part 1. It's a long 24 minutes, but there's all those films I went through, and I've forgotten some. I nearly forgot Forbidden Planet. I even forgot the title. I'll see you for part 2.